Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Editorial Edge. I'm BhuvanAJha. This is the 19th of July 2023, and I welcome each one of you once again. Okay. As we always do, we will straight away jump into the topics without wasting much time. But before I do so today, just quickly let me know if you can hear me all right, see me all right. All systems are a go because I just need to get it checked. All right. Pranam Shivansh. बहुत बहुत स्वागत. Good evening. Good morning. बहुत 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 स्वागत आपका. Welcome again, all those of you who are joining me live. Just quickly let me know if you can see everything all right, if all systems are okay. Hi Arka, good morning, good morning. Welcome. Good morning Deepak, how are you? Deepak, I'll respond to your email. I've had your look at your answer. We'll get back to it. All right. So welcome guys. So good morning Monica. So what's different from today is, so we have been discussing and taking a deep dive into topics for the last say almost close to 2 months. All right. So today we are just going to shift track a bit, not a lot. Today we do not have any deep dive topic as such. What we are going to do is take a look at the prelims oriented topics today. Good morning Bulbul. Thanks for letting me know. Okay. Thanks Deepak. All right. So we'll take a look at prelims oriented topics. But before I begin, so what's different today is the questions that I will be giving forward for you. I expect you to answer them. Now I don't expect you to answer them straight away on the spot. All right. Take your time to answer them, but then do leave me an answer in the comment box, as what I'll do is those people who get it correct, all right. So I'm going to create a special leaderboard, all right. And so those students, their names will be figured in tomorrow morning's class, the opening slide, all right. So give these questions a go. I have around 5 questions for you, 5 to 6 questions out of the topics that we will discuss. Have a look at them and then answer them, all right. Okay, so we shall begin. So the first topic that I have for you is an article from the Indian Express, a very important article in fact. You should not ignore this, and the best part about this article is that we have discussed the entire theory behind this article in yesterday's class. The whole deep dive into India-France relationship that we did, right? So you will understand that, well, this article by C. Raja Mohan is completely based on that discussion that we had yesterday. So we'll do a quick recap of what we did yesterday in 5 minutes or less, and then go ahead after the class finishes, have a look at the article, because it's a must-read article for you. Second one we'll take a look at is the Kuno cheetahs. So you must have been aware, I'm sure you must have been aware that there are large-scale, at least many of the cheetahs that were translocated from Namibia. So now they are dying. So what's the problem with that? We'll understand. We'll take a look. Okay. This article is also from the Indian Express. And we'll take a look at, say, what's the bigger problem when it comes to translocation. This is not an exclusive problem related to cheetahs only. So we'll discuss another such species where translocation, or at least releasing into the wildlife, was looked to be achieved but could not be achieved. So what are the issues that prop up necessary for you? So we'll take a look at Kuno cheetahs. Thereafter, the project Red Panda. So as you see, we have a lot of environment related topics today, which is for good measure, because environment, agriculture, health has to be a focus area for any student. Alright, so Project Red Panda will be taken care of, number 3. Thereafter, we'll take a look at South Indian cicadas. Okay, extremely shrill insects, by the way. If you have ever been to forests, you will realize that these are extremely shrill insects. They create like a humongous amount of noise in the forests. However, these shrill, noisy insects are under threat. And more importantly, what's the good news for us is that a particular species of cicadas that was supposed to be or understood to be so far as belonging to, say, the Malaysian version of the cicadas, the brother of it, So we were thinking that, well, the South Indian cicadas are the same as the Malaysian cicadas. Turns out they're not. They're completely different. Okay. So we'll take a look at the South Indian cicadas that are in the news. Good morning, Bipen. Welcome. All right. And thereafter, fourth one, we'll take a look at the Black Sea Grain Initiative. Now, obviously, this has been in the news. Russia has done this effective yesterday. And just last evening, after this was put into motion, the Black Sea Grain Initiative, you find that Russia has now gone ahead on the offensive and is now targeting the port cities. Okay. So what is the Black Sea Grain Initiative? We'll also take a look at this area, the Black Sea area, because again, it's an important area for us to really consider. So straight away, let's dive into it, shall we? All right. No point wasting time. Thanks. Good morning, Bhaskar. How are you? Thanks for the chai. All right. So go ahead and like the stream if you haven't. I request you to share the stream also. Share it with your friends in your circle, whoever will benefit out of this 1 hour intensive exercise that we do in the morning. I'd really request you to go ahead and share it with your friends. All right. Sure, Arka. Carry on, please. Please carry on. All right. Okay. So let's jump into it. So for the first article by C. Raja Mohan, so it's talking about the India-France relationship. So let's very quickly revise what we did yesterday. Hi Sai Krishna, how are you? Good morning. All right. So what we did yesterday was the areas of convergence between India and France. So this article is essentially talking about that also. Okay. What you find is the second slide of my lecture yesterday, where we discussed the individual areas of convergence, say defense and security. What are we doing differently? Okay. So you find that, say, the Rafale naval deals, all right, or say the joint exercises that we have. All of these are what? Areas of convergence when it comes to defense and security. Knowledge sharing, counter-terrorism platform where we are knowledge sharing with each other, defense and security. All right. So Raja Mohan begins by discussing this. He also discusses the areas of convergence when it comes to climate change between India and France. All right. So you find that the International Solar Alliance, commitment to the SDG goals, all of this again, India and France sharing a similar perspective. All right. Thereafter, the strategic autonomy and multilateralism, which we have discussed in detail, in fact. So strategic autonomy is what enables India to, say, engage on an equal footing with both Russia and say the United States. All right. That it can belong to different groupings and subgroupings and yet have an independent foreign policy. All right. That is what? Strategic autonomy, which is the central tenet of, say, the Paris, the central tenet of the foreign policy originating out of Paris also. Okay. That's say you realize that after the 1998 nuclear tests that India conducted, Paris was the first one to go ahead and support New Delhi. You see, at that moment, at that juncture, when the whole Western world was against New Delhi, for Paris to come and say, you know what, it's okay, fine. We'll build that relationship from whatever it is right now. That's a huge boost of support. And thus you find that in 1998, India reciprocates this by creating a strategic partnership. All right. So this has been the foundation of this whole relationship, you know, that mutual understanding and respect for each other's viewpoint, which is why India-France relationship is key going forward in the 21st century. What you also realize is, say, when we compare to India-US, all right, when you compare this whole thing to, say, the India-US relationship, or at least up until now probably it might be changing. But what you realize is there's a certain amount of give and take. All right. With Paris, there is no give and take. All right. So the Americans will say, expect something in return if you were to ask something. Paris, there is none of that. So which is why it's a more closer relationship as compared to, say, on an individual level, on an organizational level, as compared to, say, America. All right. You're also finding areas of convergence in space and nuclear. Jaipur nuclear plant. The EPRs came from France. All right. The European pressurized reactors. And space, you find CNES and ISRO, in fact, going ahead and making massive inroads in space convergence. Earth observation missions are planned. All right. Mission Trishna is planned. So all of this is what? A part of areas of convergence. India and France again. And then most importantly, Raja Mohan also writes about this. The Indo-Pacific convergence. That, well, this area that we showed you yesterday, the Indo-Pacific now is an area or a bone of contention. Why? Because you have the rise of China on one side, and then you have the established players plus the developing nations that are coming together. Right? So everyone knows that because this is an area that is again densely populated plus a lot of trade happens through it, you know, it obviously encapsulates the Indian Ocean region, IOR. So everyone wants to go ahead and you know, make sure that this area is peaceful. It is in the best interests of both India and France to make sure that the Indo-Pacific region remains free of Chinese hegemony, which is why you find another area of convergence here. So Raja Mohan talks about all of this and then gives a future roadmap, say, for the India-France relationship as to how should it build forward. Yeah. You must have, in fact, gone ahead and looked at, if you haven't looked at yesterday's class, I strongly suggest you do, because therein you will find that we have mentioned a document called Horizon 2047, okay, which is laying out the roadmap for the next, say, 25 years of India and French partnership and India and France friendship. How should it go forward? So we realized, in fact, we did figure out yesterday that one of the barriers of say deeper convergence between India and France is the lack of trade. Did we or did we not, guys? Good morning, Karuna. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Did we or did we not, guys? We figured out no, that trade was a major issue when it came to India and France, say as compared to India and Germany, where trade is the primary mover and shaker. Are you aware, guys? Can you recall? Can you recall very quickly, guys? Let me know. So that is the whole deal. So because again, trade is an impediment, Horizon 2047 also talks about making sure that trade is given priority now, that if this relationship is to go on to the next level, trade has to be a certain part of it. Clear? So this is what the article talks about. In say less than 5 minutes, I've explained you. All right. Because we have discussed this say in yesterday's class, we gave around say 25 minutes to this topic. Okay. So for anyone who has any doubts still, I suggest go ahead and quickly look at that first 25 minutes of yesterday's. Okay. This will clear, it will clear the whole India France for you. Up until say at least say the next 2-3 months, you will remember everything. Then you will have to revise obviously. Okay. So anyone, again, my suggestion, go through the first 20 minutes of yesterday's class, read this article, your India France is done. Okay, Lekam, I will summarize. So this is what I've summarized for you. See, Lekam, these are the areas of convergence between India and France. All right, extensive convergence here. Where are we not having friendship, or where we are not taking the most importance out of this relationship is trade. Okay, our trade, Lekam, you will be surprised to know, when it comes to India-France trade, it is lesser than Thailand, it is lesser than Vietnam, it is lesser than Bangladesh, India's trade. Do you realize? So that is not good. That does not bode well if you want a deeper convergence, which is why India and France are now looking at deeper convergence trade-wise, wherein this particular agreement will be game changer, guys. The India-EU free trade agreement that is in the works. Okay, this will have a direct bearing on the India-France trade that is currently holding this relationship back. All right, Lekam. So these are the areas of convergence. I would strongly suggest go ahead, quickly look at the first 20 minutes of that only, not more. It will be absolutely clear for you, I can assure you. Any article on India-France, done, no issues. Okay? So I was expecting answers to yesterday's question. I thought many of you found it difficult. We'll also discuss what were the problems there. All right, we'll discuss. The last slide I have taken it exclusively for discussing say pointers to yesterday's class, because I received very few answers. I was expecting a lot of them in fact. All right. So we'll take a look at the Kuno cheetah now. So this has been in the news, unfortunate news, tragic in fact. We are losing cheetahs one after the other and no one seems to know why. And so there are a host of reasons that are now being postulated. Obviously researchers from across the world are now weighing in as to what could have gone wrong. Something has drastically gone wrong. So first need to understand this translocation project that you're looking at from Namibia to India. Okay. So up until now, the initial deaths, say, were probably related to kidney failures. All right. Kidney failures or say other ailments, local ailments. Now suddenly you are finding that a lot of the dead bodies or the dead cheetahs have say sores around their necks. Okay. There are sores around their necks. All right. So now this is leading say researchers to like postulate that probably the radio collars that they wear. Are you aware, guys? Say your your pet at home has a collar, no? So what you do is you insert a tracking device into it, okay, and then make sure that you can track the animal when you leave it in the wild, because again they have come from say Namibia. They are not say adapted to the local conditions yet. So to make sure that you keep an eye on them in the first say 6 months, 12 months, a radio collar tracking device is put. Now the problem is with this tracking device is what the article says, Indian Express article. All right. So what you have seen is suspected septicemia from festering neck wounds. Septic has been formed, that there is some sort of bacterial infection that has come up because of these radio collars, which is why these cheetahs are now perishing one by one. All right. So the problem is with the collars, bacterial growth, hotspots plus pressure ulcers. We'll discuss what are each of them individually. Okay, today's class is absolutely pre-oriented, guys. No mains topic. The mains topic we have done yesterday. I have just introduced the article to you. We'll discuss the question in the end. Now pay attention for the pre-perspective. The bacterial growth. You must have seen if you have a pet at home, all right? If you have a collar around the pet's neck, if the area around the collar you leave it, say, wet, you will eventually see that it becomes, say, slightly bluish greenish in color. Eventually, you know. Why does that happen? Because there is undergrowth happening. Infection is developing, which is not good, say, for the cheetahs. We'll also discuss why. All right. Then there are hot spots. Similar to your pet, to your dog. You must have seen flea or tick. You know, they'll have these areas where they'll start itching a lot. They'll start scratching it a lot. Hot spots. Pressure ulcers. If you wear something that is very tight, eventually after you leave it, you will see it's completely looking different there. That it's become sore now because of the pressure that was there on the skin continuously. These three, a combination of these three has now gone ahead and adversely affected the Kuno cheetahs. Good morning, Radha Krishna. How are you? Krishnan. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining, guys. Go ahead and like the stream. All those of you who are joining me live, please like the stream. Yes, these are the small minor happinesses an educator gets. Don't deprive me of that at least. All right. Okay. So, why are the collars important? So, you must have seen the Amur falcon, for example, guys. A very well-known bird. Okay. In fact, almost all the UPSC students know about the Amur falcon bird. Okay. The big migratory story from, say, Nagaland to Somalia that it goes. In fact, there is a very interesting example of an Amur falcon bird that was tracked the way we have discussed right now. So it was tracked, okay. And so what you find is that it flew continuously for 5,600 kilometers continuously. Okay. From, say, Nagaland up until Somalia it went. Do you realize the long haul birds that they do? So if you are tracking them, how are you tracking them? That question should also come into your mind. So what happens is, in case of, say, the Nagaland Amur falcon, what they did was a 5-gram tracker was put on the bird, and it was made to wear the tracker like a school bag. So that school bag was made out of Teflon. Ramesh, good morning. Good morning. Welcome, guys. Welcome, welcome. Do you realize that? So that bird, that Amur falcon, like a cartoon essentially, wearing a school bag that has a 5-gram tracker in it, which is how, say, researchers and you and I are suddenly getting this information that this was going non-stop for 5,600 kilometers. So how is it, the question now, how is it that, say, we are doing this fine with the Amur falcon, but how is it that the same collar, the same technology, when you are putting it on the cheetahs are dying? How is that happening? All right. So let's look at this. So you are looking at radio collars to able to monitor birds and animals over long distances using satellite trackers. So the Amur falcon, 5-gram tracker plus a Teflon harness, a school bag. And now what's the agreed international norms? Look at this. The agreed norms, So for any species, the radio collar, the neck collar that you give them should be less than 3% of their total body weight. Correct? 3% of the total body weight. Now in case of cheetahs, all right, they weigh somewhere close to, say, between 20 to 60 kilos, depending on, say, the species, the size, whether it's an infant, adolescent or an adult. Again, gender also determines. Say the males will be heavier, the females will be lighter. Right? Now the problem with that, what happens here? We know that cheetah is one of the, probably in fact, the fastest land animal. Yes, it can go ahead and run distances at speed that you can't even imagine. All right. Okay. So 20 to 60 kilos. Now what happens is, less than 3% of the weight is mandated. But what you don't realize is that because the cheetah is a fast moving animal, when it runs, the pressure exerted by this 500-gram neck collar, the different forces acting on the neck get amplified. Fine. Which means that in fact it is, the research says that, say, the pressure gets amplified up to 18 times for the cheetah when it's running. So what the problem is that the radio collar is not factoring in the athletic ability of the cheetah. All right, it is interfering with the athletic ability of the cheetah. Right. So because of that, again, firstly, it's raining. This is also another reason. The climate in Africa, there you have dry spells between rains, whereas in India, say, rains continue for a long period of time. At the same time, the cheetah skin is like a dry mat. You know, if you have a mat at home, guys, if you put water over it, and if you just say put it like this, no, you will see how water drips out. It has that absorbing, soaking power. The foot mat at your home. Do this today. Put some water and see how much of water it starts to absorb before it starts to drip out. The same thing is the problem with the cheetah skin also. That it absorbs water, holds water for longer periods, takes a lot of time to dry out. At that same time, you are wearing a collar, okay? A heavy collar which has different tangential forces acting on your neck, which means your neck becomes vulnerable. Which is what the researchers are saying could have gone wrong with the Kuno cheetah. Alright, this is the reason given. So, because this is the reason, see, they were fine in summer, but what happened in monsoon? That's the forest department's version also of Madhya Pradesh. That they were having local ailments, say kidney failure, this or that was happening, which was expected because again they are coming from completely different country to here. So the local conditions, they will take time to adapt, fine. But then what happened? Suddenly in monsoon, why is it that one after the other they are all dying? Which means the radio collars could have inhibited, say, a proper growth. Okay. So now going forward, what is being looked at is, look at this. How is it vulnerable? Cheetah coat is more furry. So the wet mat effect, the one that I was hinting at, guys, that it holds water. It does not get dried out easily. Now obviously our rains here are also continuous, which means again soaking water, bacterial infection going, septic formation, cheetah dying. That is the flow chart here. Okay. Weight of the collar does not factor in forces exerted on the neck during athletic movements. See, 18 times more force on cheetah's neck during a full sprint. Alright. So what are you going to do now? What are your options? If you were, say, the PCCF of Madhya Pradesh. What's the full form of PCCF, guys? Can someone tell me in the chat? I'll let you know. If you are the PCCF of Madhya Pradesh, so now what are your options? One, the radio collar. If you remove them, you can't track. Okay. Now, if you increase the size, if you reduce the size so that you can take care of the forces, you will have smaller batteries. Smaller batteries means your tracking capabilities are limited. Eventually, the batteries run out. Eventually, the cheetahs need to be sedated so that the batteries can be replaced. Do you realize? So what? It's like an option between a rock and a hard place. You either have to do this, that okay, completely let go of the radio collars and then hope and pray that well they adjust and adopt to the local surroundings, or you have a lighter radio collar, but then again that means constant sedation of the cheetah. Would that be advisable? Probably not. Alright. So this is what the only options are. Okay. And the newspaper reports indicate that well they have, the Madhya Pradesh Forest Department has gone ahead and done this, that they will completely remove in fact the radio collars from all the remaining cheetahs. Okay. And say what could be the other way done? Lekam, Principal Chief Conservator of Forest. Okay. That's the topmost, the apex level position of a forest officer in the state. Say for example, the IAS officer. For an IAS officer, the highest position in the state is what? The Chief Secretary or the Principal Secretary. Right? For the IPS, it is probably the DGP. Whereas for the Indian Forest Service, it is the PCCF, the Principal Chief Conservator of Forest. Know these, guys. You guys are going for the civil services. You should know the ranks and hierarchy and everything. Alright, make sure that you're aware. So, in fact, you will find that the present PCCF, who was in charge of this whole project, he has been transferred and a new incumbent has been brought in. Because again, it was not working out. You know, it's international pressure, plus the state forest department is also under pressure to show results. So, a new person has been brought in. Alright. So, cheetahs also lack immunity against local pathogens which other tiger lions may have. These are the reasons being essentially hinted at as to why this cheetah translocation project from say Namibia to Kuno is under threat, completely under threat. Alright. So these are the operative articles for you. Here is the first question, guys. Like I've said, see the question. I will be sharing this on my on my Telegram channel. All right. Take a look at the question. This is question A. Leave an answer for me in the comment box. We have 5 questions today. Leave an answer for all of them. And I will figure the names of those students who get all the answers correct in tomorrow morning's class in a special slide. All right. Don't feel obliged to answer right now. Take a look at the question, do your due diligence, and then come back to me with an answer. All right. The first one, African cheetah's red list status is vulnerable. Asiatic cheetah's red list status is critically endangered. And Kuno Palpur was also proposed as the second site for the Asiatic lion, okay, which is now in Gir. Was that the case? Was Kuno Palpur also proposed to be a host site for the Asiatic lion? Why did that not work, or what happened? Figure it out, let me know. The correct answers I will be expecting in the comment box, guys. Okay, the third topic for the day, okay, Project Red Panda. Red Panda, one of the most cutest animals you will ever see, okay. I'm sure you must have seen photos. And so what do you find? It's a small arboreal mammal. Arboreal is tree living or tree inhabiting. Okay. It's a tree living mammal found in the forests of India, Nepal, Bhutan, and the northern mountains of Myanmar and in southern China. Now in India, where do you find them? Sikkim. Sikkim, state animal of Sikkim, by the way. Okay. The state animal of Sikkim, you will find the photo of red panda on their logo, on their crests, figured prominently in fact. Alright. In Meghalaya, where you find the Nokrek National Park. Have you heard of this name, guys? The Nokrek National Park. This is where you find the red panda. The conservation efforts are also going on there. Okay. And in Arunachal Pradesh, found in the wild. In Darjeeling and in Kalimpong districts of West Bengal. So 4 states in India where you find the red panda. Clear? Make sure that you know at the names of the 2 major sites for red panda conservation in India. One, the Nokrek National Park. Alright. Make a note of this. In fact, you don't make a note of this. I suggest do not take down notes in my class anymore. Everything is provided to you. You listen, you grasp. Alright. So the Nokrek National Park in Meghalaya plus the Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park in Darjeeling. These 2 are the primary sites when it comes to say red pandas. Okay. Anjali, have a look and then leave an answer for me in the comment box. Okay. Have a look. Aram se. Don't rush, because these are questions that will require you to go ahead and do 5 minutes of research first. Alright. Ramesh, what is the average lifespan and weight of panda? Weight is not a lot. In fact, I don't think they weigh more than 2.5, 3 kilos. They are very light. Herbivorous, in fact. Okay. They eat bamboo shoots prominently. Bamboo shoots prominently. Alright. So the state animal of Sikkim listed as endangered also in the first schedule of our Wildlife Protection Act 1972, which means it has the highest legal protection. But it is under threat. Okay. Even this cute animal we humans have not, left. I'll tell you what we have done. Look at this. Habitat degradation. You go ahead and kill completely kill the forests, destroy the forests in which the red panda lives. Where will the poor fellow live? Okay. Thereafter, you are looking at killing by feral dogs. In fact, the local dogs. So I'll tell you, in Darjeeling, what happened was Project Red Panda, under Project Red Panda. So a release of red pandas into the wild was planned by the Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park, the PNHZP. Okay, and this was in say 2003 or 2005. Okay, so what happened? They released around 3-4 red panda into the wild, hoping that it will work out for the red pandas. In fact, a major documentary was also made on it, guys. If you do find a time, go ahead and look at this. It will give you the whole. This was the name of the documentary. Okay, you will find it on YouTube, वैसे. So this will tell you about the whole panda relocation that happened, no? The release of the panda into the wild. So what happened? Most of them failed to adapt to say life in the jungle. Okay, some of them were hunted down by dogs. the village dogs. Okay. So what is happening? That in spite of say a major project, the project has failed to factor in one key aspect, that local communities need to be taken together if you have to reduce man-animal conflict arising out of such translocation processes or such release processes. Okay. Lack of awareness. Most of the times you also find that red pandas are taken as pets. Imagine that. What is happening? What changed in say so far as the Amur falcon experiment in Nagaland is concerned? There was massive awareness campaign that today the people of Nagaland are say the first protectors of the Amur falcon. The ones that were killing it are now in fact the torch flag bearers of Amur falcon conservation. So unless and until you take the communities along, say by proper information, awareness campaign, making sure that the dog problem or whatever flashpoints of man-animal conflict that may originate are taken care of. Clear? Are you able to understand that? So the feral dogs, major problem again, hunting, and so this is why it is looking at extinction. Okay, habitat destruction, obviously, feral dogs, major problem, poaching, hunting, and pets, used as pets, major problem, which is why the red panda is under threat. So now let's go ahead and look at the Project Red Panda. So like I told you, the BhuvanAJha Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park taking care of the Project Red Panda, and so it has been releasing red pandas into the Singalila National Park. So this example I told you of the cherub in the mist, this 2005 bulbul, thanks for letting me know. So this project that was taken care in 2005, well, this also looked at releasing the red panda in the Singalila National Park. It's the highest national park in the state of West Bengal. Okay. Two major locations that a civil service aspirant should be aware of. Okay. That if you were to go on this Bharat Darshan after you clear the civil services, you will be looking at these two places. One is called Sandakfu, the other is called Falut. Okay. Go ahead and look at the photos of this on Google Images and you'll be amazed to know the beauty of that place. It's on the Singalila ridge between India and Nepal. Okay, hilly terrain, extremely mountainous terrain in fact, alright. And this 2003 and 5 was a failure, this whole release that was planned. Okay, so Project Red Panda, again, why am I discussing Red Panda today? Because when you are discussing Kuno Palpur, that the translocation is not working out because of say the radio collars, because of say lack of adjusting to Indian conditions. The same tenets are also the reason why say the Project Red Panda, the endeavor in 2005 failed. That once again, local communities were not taken care of, local conditions were not factored in before say the release of the animal in the wild. Okay, so you'll take care of this topic for me and answer this question. Second question for today. Nokrek National Park in Meghalaya is an important conservation site for the red panda. In situ and ex situ conservation of red panda is being carried out at the BhuvanAJha Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park, Darjeeling. Identify the correct statements. This is question B, by the way. So when you leave an answer for me in the comment box, mention A, B, C, so that it's easier for me to know which answer is correct, obviously. Okay. Once again, I implore you, go ahead and answer this for me. I'd be expecting answers. Okay, this closes on the 22nd, guys. We are now fast approaching the date. If you haven't made up your mind now, go ahead. Quickly look at the course brochure. Seats are limited. This is our last batch for the UPSC 2024. Okay. If you feel you connect with the way we approach topics here, then go ahead, take a look at the course brochure, make an informed decision, and after you do, use the code BALIVE, as that assures you a good discount. I become a part of your preparation, you get assigned to my batch, and then we go and work together for realizing your aim of cracking the civil services. Alright. So what the best we can do is give you the complete information, the best strategy, the best motivation, the best guidance, the best mentors, all to make sure that you put in your best efforts. Alright. So this course is designed for that. Go ahead and have a look at the course brochure on StudyIQ.com. Okay. So South Indian cicadas are now getting a new name. Alright. They were previously thought to be the same as their Malaysian counterparts. So first, what are cicadas? Insects. They have mouth parts used for piercing and sucking and have 2 pairs of wings. So look at this. This is what you're looking at. Okay. Again, I don't want to go ahead and say anything bad about it, but it does not look very nice. All right. They have loud calls. So if you were to go into a jungle, all right, you will find that obviously you have say cricket. You will find, you all must understand the noise the cricket makes. But cicadas are way, way, way louder. It's like they create ruckus in the forests at night. Okay. And so they are produced by organs called tymbals. Make a note of this from the pre-perspective. Okay. That the cicadas are loud. Why? Because they have tymbals. All right. So they live primarily in canopies. What are canopies, guys? So if this is a tree, will they live in this area? The tree cover. Just under the tree cover, you will find lots of cicadas. All right. And they are found on all continents except Antarctica. Not on, say, the near the Ross Sea. Where is the Ross Sea, guys? Name me 2 seas around Antarctica very quickly. All right. So, South Indian cicadas were previously mistaken for their Malaysian counterpart, but now the new name for the Indian cicada has been given, which is Purana chiveda. Okay. Purana chiveda is the new name of the South Indian cicadas. Clear hai? So, let's go forward. Go ahead, answer this question for me now. Quickly. Prelims perspective, we move on quick. All right. You know cicadas are insects. They have tymbals. They create a ruckus. They are, okay. One thing that you should know. Their activity in the biodiversity, you know. They are critically important, by the way. Okay. But under threat from, say, deforestation. All right. And you are looking at soil contamination that completely affects their population. Okay. First, if there are no forests, if there are no canopy cover, where will the cicadas live? And secondly, because they are insects, they rely on, say, plants, leaves, soil. So because of soil contamination, because of, say, insecticides and fungicides and all of these being put in the soil, this is affecting with the population of cicadas. All right. So go ahead and answer this question now. India and Bangladesh have the highest genetic diversity of cicadas. Well, like I told you, they are found every continent except Antarctica. Not found here. All right. Deforestation and soil contamination are directly threatening the population of cicadas. They play a disruptive role. Do they? Do insects play a disruptive role in say, forest management? No. They play a very important role. All right. So I've in fact solved this question for you. So go ahead. Question number C. I shall expect your answers, guys. Leave the answer for me in the chat box below. All right. Good answers, Karuna. Good answer, Anjali. Ross Sea, Weddell Sea. Correct. In fact, one of these days, we'll do an extensive session on Antarctica also. So much of information that has collated over the last, say, 2-3 months related to Antarctica, and we need to do it. So, we'll do it tomorrow for sure. All right. And finally, we come to the last topic of the day. Okay. This intensive session that I'm doing. First time I'm doing in making sure that your prelims interests are also served. Ideally, what we do is we take a deep dive into a topic. Today, no deep dive. All right. So, the Black Sea Grain Initiative, the whole point, if you don't want to read all of this, understand in one line. Okay. The Black Sea Grain Initiative allowed Ukraine to export its wheat to the outside world. Okay. Russia allowed this under some certain conditions. However, 2 things changed. One, Russian wheat exports was getting hit. It wanted its own exports to be number 1. So, since the war started, you have seen that, well, Ukrainian exports have been hit. After this Black Sea Grain Initiative, where now Russia has barred, in fact, put a naval blockade as sort, you know, that they will not allow the usage of Black Sea for exporting Ukrainian wheat or exporting Ukrainian agricultural products, directly benefits the Russians. Their wheat is now number 1. And secondly, Russia had few conditions that it wanted to be met in return for allowing Ukrainian export of wheat. However, the Western nations did not keep their side of the bargain, which is why Russia said, no, enough is enough. We are going to pull out unilaterally from the Black Sea Grain Initiative. This is the story, guys. All right. So the initiative allowed for commercial food and fertilizer exports from three key Ukrainian ports: Odessa, Kromorsk and Yuzhny. And why was it? Obviously, support the stabilization of food prices. In fact, most of the Ukrainian grain you find going to the developing world. Okay. So one example that comes to mind is Pakistan. They were again primarily importing Ukrainian grain. Now that because of Russia-Ukraine crisis, that grain export was considerably limited, you found the wheat prices in Pakistan going up considerably. Okay. Why? One, supply chain fixed, lack of diversification on part of Pakistan. Okay. So similarly, you find sub-Saharan Africa. Okay. Another massive benefactor of Ukrainian grain. They also have been hit hard because of the Russian blockade. All right. So because of this stabilization of food prices, this initiative was taken by Russia. Okay. Russia, Ukraine, Turkey, all of these countries came together. Mediators were Turkey. And then it was worked out that, okay, for the greater global good, for making sure that everyone has access to food in areas like sub-Saharan Africa and Pakistan, well, we will allow export of Ukrainian grain. However, in return, what did Russia expect? All right. Russia pulled out saying its conditions not met. So it wanted an ammonia export pipeline from Russia. In fact, a pipeline exists from that particular area, the Black Sea area, from Russia to Black Sea. Russia wanted its own ammonia to be exported. The West did not budge. It wanted its own banks to be a part of the international SWIFT system. You must be aware of the SWIFT system, which is a messaging system that is required for international banking networks. Okay. So, because again Russia was thrown out of the international SWIFT system just after it had invaded Ukraine, so they wanted these concessions as a part of this plan, this Black Sea initiative, Sea Grain initiative, to allow Ukrainian wheat to be exported. That wasn't taken care of by the Western nations, also by Ukraine, which is why Russia unilaterally pulled out of this whole deal. All right. So it allowed cargo ships from 3 Ukrainian ports to pass safe passage after being inspected for weapons. So this safe passage now is no more available for the wheat-laden ships of Ukraine, which means that if Russia decides to shoot them down, it's completely within the rules of the game. Which is why now Ukraine is again looking at down in the dumps, because whatever little grain that they were exporting, okay, in spite of the fact that this initiative was there, that is also gone now. Clear? So let's look at this particular area now. So have a look at this area, because again it has been in the news, and so I would suggest that you revisit this area every week at least. Have a look at the map. So today just take a look at it. First, you must have heard of this particular area, the Kerch Strait. In fact, just 2 days prior, I think in day before yesterday's newspaper, you must have found this particular news that the Kerch Bridge was blown. That this was damaged, completely blown to smithereens. So what is the Kerch Strait? What is it doing? In fact, what it does is it connects Russia to Crimea. Okay. So now that because of this Kerch Bridge that has now gone, so that connection is lost. Another that you should know about is the Bosphorus Strait. Make a note of this too. The Bosphorus Strait, okay, which connects the Black Sea to the Sea of Marmara. 2-3 names only you need to know here, guys. It's not very difficult. Okay. We have discussed Dnieper here. Remember this massive dam that was completely obliterated, the Kakhovka Dam. We have discussed this extensively, the Kakhovka Dam on the Dnieper River, right? We also have the particular Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant here, which is on the banks of the Dnieper River. These are the map-based areas. Have a good idea of them. All right. Thereafter, you are also looking at the Sea of Azov, the Kerch Strait, which connects Black Sea to the Sea of Azov. So to note 2-3 names here, please, guys. One you will note down is the Kerch Strait. Okay. Thereafter, the Bosphorus Strait. All right. Thereafter, you will also take a look at the Dnieper River. All right. And what else is there? The Kakhovka Dam. All right. And what else? Yes. Go ahead. These are the map-based areas that you should focus on from this area. All right. If you take a look at this map every 2 days, your job is done. You will remember it for at least around till prelims. All right. So take a note of this map and make sure that you know these. UPSC point of view. In fact, include the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant also. So after the class finishes, I have shown you the map. Quickly go ahead, look at the world map, locate them, locate the areas around them, your job is done. 5 minutes it will take. All right. This is the question for you now. Go ahead. What is the marginal sea? Can someone just quickly let me know in the chat? NCERT again. Have you guys started with your NCERT? I did a video on the right time to begin for UPSC 2024, wherein I had mentioned start with your NCERT, start with geography. You must have seen marginal sea is a sea that is, well, I'll leave it for you. Why not go ahead and figure it out? If I spoon feed you everything, what's the point? All right. Marginal sea. Look at this answer and let me know in the chat. Okay, I'll expect answers. The correct answers get figured, by the way. Black Sea is an example of a marginal sea. Kerch Strait connects Black Sea to the Sea of Azov. The SWIFT system for international finance institution is controlled by the IMF. Identify the correct statements. Identify the correct statements. You will leave an answer for all the 4 questions A, B, C and D. Leave the answers for me, and the answers for this along with the explanation is what we will begin our class tomorrow with. This is going to be a habit from now on. I will be giving you questions based out of all the topics that we do, which may or may not be covered in the class. Okay. I would have given you the fundamental basis. I would expect you go ahead, spend 2 minutes, answer the questions, and we shall discuss all the threadbare details of it tomorrow morning. All right. Okay. Going forward. So this is the question, by the way. I had given this question yesterday in terms of the India-France relationship. The Indo-French relations have been resilient in the darkest storms and bold and ambitious in riding the highest of the waves. Elaborate. Now, many of you did not answer this. So once again, let me just quickly recap this for you. You begin from 1998 and come until 2023. I have given you the areas of convergence today and yesterday. All right. The areas of convergence need to be balanced with the geopolitical history of the time. That's all you need to do, guys. Do you know the history of India from 1998 to 2023 is what the question is asking you. Do you know, say, about the Indian pressure post-sanctions? Can you correlate, say, the Indian vision for sustainable development goals? The Indian model for Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam that you and I use frequently but do not understand at all. That, say, this greater global good, International Solar Alliance or Paris Sustainable Climate Development, all of this. Are India and France converging there? If yes, good. What was the geopolitical reality? You had US that was backing out. Yes. Countries in, say, the vulnerable countries now under direct threat. So you have 2 major powers that are showing willingness to collaborate on an international platform, which means they are what? Riding the high waves of opportunities. That there is a vacuum when it comes to global leadership. India and France are taking it in certain sectors. Okay. So go ahead. I would still suggest, I have received some answers, around say only 10 answers I received. I can spot Deepak here who has sent me an answer. I have had a look at his answer. I'll respond to his answer separately. But for the rest of you, please attempt this. If you were to write the answer for this, your India-France preparation is done, guys. Okay, you don't need to read another article up until say another C. Raja Mohan writes another article. Okay, and this is the question for today, 19th. Human-animal conflict is often aggravated by flawed policies that fail to incorporate human dimensions in failed translocation outcomes. In fact, I'll give you a small example. So in Mysore, you have the problem of, say, cheetahs also. Okay, the local leopards, in fact, not cheetahs, leopards. So what you find is that what they do is they catch hold of the wild animal and then they take it to some enclosure outside. Now, eventually the population is so much that how many can you eventually release, capture, release? You can't do that. So now it is being said that, well, why don't you go ahead and fortify the human side of things? That, say, introduce boundary walls, introduce night lighting, solar lamps, adequate vision. If it is there, the animal is not going to come in to the village. Okay, adequate badas, they are called badas, in fact. Okay, BADAS. Okay, the enclosures around the village, if they are created, then it helps, say, make sure that you are mitigating the human-animal conflict. Okay, so translocation does not look at, say, introducing an animal into the wild and adjusting to the local surroundings, but also adjusting to the human population that exists, and humans also have to adjust to the animal. Okay, so this is the question that I have for you. I would expect answers. This is my email ID. Once again, bhuvan.jha@studyiq.com. Please go ahead, shoot me your answers and shoot me for both. I would really appreciate it. Okay, we have a good thing going. Don't let it go. Good morning, Chandani. How are you? Welcome. Go through the lecture, Chandani. It's very important. Okay, very important for the prelims perspective. All right. Okay. So with that, my dear children, my dear students, I come to the end of this morning's lecture. Before you leave, please leave me a like. I'd really appreciate it. And I'd request you to share this class also. Share this with your friends. We need more people watching this, because the information that is discussed here is discussed in a way that I know it will benefit the student. Okay, I'm convinced, which is why it gives me that motivation to be here every morning at 8. So go ahead, share it with your friends, those who will benefit out of it. And this is what I'm targeting, by the way. Someday in this year, I will have 100 likes on my class. So help me realize my dream. And on that note, it's a wrap from BhuvanAJha. Make sure you leave the answers for A, B, C, D in the comment box. And I shall see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. with another set of topics. All right. Tomorrow, we'll again take a look at the pre-oriented topics. But I'm also considering that we discuss Antarctica in detail, because that is one topic that we have been ignoring, or we haven't tackled in detail so far when it comes to, say, the current affairs. All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. I hope to see your mains answers in my inbox and your pre-answers